Beloved, as we gather in this sacred moment, I sense the stirring of heaven, the shifting of atmospheres, the alignment of divine currents in your favor. God has not brought you here by coincidence, but by divine orchestration. There is a move of the Spirit ready to break open financial pathways that have been sealed, hindered, or delayed. Today, I stand as a prophetic midwife to what God is birthing in your life, an immediate release, a supernatural acceleration, and an undeniable demonstration of his covenant promise to prosper you. I declare to you now, the heavens are responding. Ancient gates are trembling. Invisible barriers are dissolving, even as the word goes forth. The Spirit of the living God is positioning you to walk into rooms you didn't even know existed, to receive opportunities you didn't have the connections for, and to access resources that were previously beyond your reach. This is not the hour for small prayers or timid declarations. This is the hour to command, to legislate, to activate heaven's economy on your behalf. Prepare your spirit, because what God is about to release will not be incremental. It will be immediate. Financial doors that have resisted you will open of their own accord. Debts will bow. Provision will locate you. Favor will escort you. The winds of breakthrough are blowing, and God is causing every dry place to bloom. So lift up your faith, fix your eyes on the King of Glory, and get ready. Your financial shift begins now. Commanding immediate alignment with heaven's economic order begins with the understanding that the spiritual realm governs the natural, and that nothing in the material world shifts until something is first authorized, legislated, or activated in the invisible dimension. When we speak of commanding alignment, we are not referring to a timid whisper or a hopeful suggestion. We are talking about stepping into the spiritual authority granted to the believer, the authority to decree a thing so that it is established, the authority to bring earthly circumstances under the jurisdiction of divine law. Heaven's economic order is not subject to inflation, recession, debt cycles, or the unpredictability of human systems. It operates from God's abundance, God's wisdom, God's sovereignty, and God's limitless capacity. Therefore, when you command alignment, you are calling your finances out of the disorder of earthly limitations and ushering them under the governance of God's perfect supernatural economy. To command alignment is to reject the chaos that tries to define your financial reality. It is to refuse the idea that lack has permission to remain in your life. It is to renounce generational patterns of insufficiency, scarcity mindsets, and the belief systems that keep you locked out of the fullness of provision. Heaven's economic order is rooted in covenant, and covenant guarantees supply. It guarantees access. It guarantees movement. It guarantees that you will not live at the mercy of circumstances, markets, or systems. So when you begin to speak, you speak from a place of divine confidence, knowing that God has already preordained resources for your assignment. Every divine mandate carries divine provision, and no vision given by God is meant to be fueled by human effort alone. Commanding alignment requires spiritual accuracy. It requires that your words be intentional, targeted, and uncompromising. You must speak as one who understands that your voice carries weight in the realm of the Spirit. Angels are activated by the word of God spoken through a believer. Systems shift when authority is executed. Financial strongholds break when confronted with prophetic declaration. You are not negotiating with darkness. You are enforcing kingdom order. You are imposing the will of God over the chaos that has tried to sabotage your progress. In heaven's economy, there is no shortage. There is no delay. There is no denial. There is only perfect alignment with God's predetermined supply for your life. When you command immediate alignment, you are calling for divine timing to synchronize with your current season. You are declaring that you are no longer out of rhythm with what God has ordained. You are declaring acceleration where there has been stagnation. You are commanding open doors where there have been blockages. You are bringing your business, your career, your ideas, your income, your assets, and your relationships under the influence of divine timing. Heaven moves with precision. When heaven aligns with you, what previously took years can happen in moments. What once required struggle becomes effortless. What was closed becomes open. What was withheld becomes released. To walk in heaven's economic order, you must first detach from the limitations of earthly thinking. This requires a transformation of your mindset, a recalibration of your expectations, and a reorientation of your faith. You cannot command alignment while simultaneously agreeing with the systems of lack that have shaped your past. You cannot speak abundance while believing in limitation. You cannot decree increase while fearing insufficiency. Heaven's economy requires belief that matches God's nature, overflow, inexhaustible supply, and supernatural provision. You must think like someone who has access. You must believe like someone who is already backed by unlimited supply. You must speak like someone who knows that heaven is committed to financing your purpose. Authority is the currency of the kingdom. And when you use it, you are not begging for change. You are commanding alignment with God's will. You are summoning resources ordained for your life. You are calling forth finances that were delayed. You are reclaiming wealth that was spiritually tied up or entangled in the wrong hands. You are invoking divine order over your finances, forcing every area that has been operating in disorder to come under submission. Commanding alignment means nothing has permission to operate outside God's design for your life. Not your bank account, not your career, not your opportunities, not your partnerships. Everything must submit. When you stand in this authority, you recognize that financial hindrances are often spiritual in nature. There are forces that resist your advancement, distract your focus, and create barriers to your progress. These forces thrive on disorder, confusion, and fear. But when you command alignment with heaven's economy, you dismantle the spiritual architecture that sustains lack. You tear down altars built around poverty. You break the power of word curses spoken over your finances. You silence the voice of sabotage. You uproot seeds of limitation planted in your childhood, your bloodline, or your environment. You call forth the restoration of everything stolen. You legislate your economic freedom. Heaven's economic order functions under the principle of divine multiplication, not addition, multiplication. When you command alignment, you activate supernatural increase. What is placed in God's hands is multiplied. What is sown in faith is multiplied. What is surrendered in obedience is multiplied. Heaven never gives back in the same measure you release. It expands, enlarges, and elevates. Commanding alignment means positioning yourself for exponential outcomes, not incremental ones. It means refusing the smallness that life has tried to impose on you. It means giving heaven permission to enlarge your territory, expand your influence, and magnify your capacity. Faith is the force that anchors alignment. You cannot command from a place of doubt. You must speak with the conviction that what you are declaring is already moving towards you. When heaven hears faith, it responds. When faith is spoken, angels move. When faith is released, obstacles bow. Faith pulls the future into the present and collapses delay. When you command alignment, you are giving heaven a legal invitation to intervene. You are authorizing spiritual forces to act on your behalf. You are summoning divine strategies, open doors, and financial breakthroughs that align with your kingdom assignment. Your words must become instruments of construction. Every declaration builds a framework for your financial reality. Every decree establishes the architecture of your future. Every command realigns something in the spiritual realm. Words are not casual. They are carriers of power. They summon, they create, they dismantle, they shift. When you speak as one aligned with heaven's economic order, your words begin to reshape your environment. They uproot environments that suffocate prosperity. They dismantle cycles that drain your resources. They elevate your financial atmosphere so that wealth, opportunity, and provision can find you with ease. Commanding alignment also requires obedience. You cannot speak alignment and then act in contradiction to what you have declared. You must steward your finances in a way that honors kingdom principles. Generosity unlocks doors. Integrity sustains promotion. Discernment protects you from financial traps. When you align your actions with your declarations, heaven's economy flows unhindered. Your behavior becomes a prophetic act of agreement with what you have spoken. Every decision becomes intentional. Every step becomes strategic. Every investment becomes guided by divine wisdom. Heaven's economic order is rooted in purpose. Resources are not just provided for comfort, they are provided for assignment. When you command alignment, you are aligning your finances with your purpose. Wealth begins to flow where purpose is clear. Provision supports what God has called you to build, influence, and impact. When your finances are aligned with heaven, money no longer becomes a source of stress. It becomes a tool for kingdom expansion. You begin to see money as a servant, not a master. You begin to understand that abundance is not merely personal, it is generational, transformational, and missional. Commanding immediate alignment requires persistence. You cannot speak once and retreat. You must continue until manifestation appears. Persistence in the Spirit is a force that breaks resistance. Every time you decree alignment, you weaken opposition. Every time you speak, you reinforce heaven's agenda. Every time you declare, you strengthen your spiritual position. You are not waiting for a sign. You are creating the sign through your words. You are not hoping for something to shift. You are making the shift happen through spiritual authority. Finally, commanding alignment with heaven's economic order means stepping boldly into the identity God has given you as an heir of the kingdom. You are not approaching finances as a beggar, but as one who has legal right to the resources of heaven. You are not pleading, you are governing. You are not hoping, you are legislating. You are not intimidated by lack. You are confronting it with divine authority. You are commanding the natural world to conform to the spiritual truth of your inheritance. You are establishing economic order everywhere disorder has reigned. Activating divine favor to access hidden opportunities and resources begins with an awareness that favor is not random, accidental, or unpredictable. Favor is spiritual force, a divine endorsement, an invisible signature of God upon your life that causes doors to open, hearts to be softened, and circumstances to shift in your advantage. Divine favor is heaven's way of placing its fingerprint on your assignment, announcing to the world that you have been chosen, selected, and empowered for a specific purpose. Favor accelerates what effort alone cannot achieve. Favor positions you in places your resume did not qualify you for. Favor opens conversations that your name could not have entered without supernatural intervention. When you activate divine favor, you are not depending on human connections. You are calling upon the God who governs times, seasons, and the hearts of people. Activating favor requires intentionality. Favor does not simply manifest. It is invoked, released, and stirred in the spirit. It responds to faith, obedience, and alignment with divine instruction. When you activate divine favor, you're stepping into a spiritual dimension where scarcity is replaced with supernatural access, hidden opportunities, those not visible to the natural eye, those locked behind systems, those concealed behind human decisions or corporate structures, begin to reveal themselves. They rise from obscurity to visibility. Divine favor exposes them, highlights them, and escorts you toward them. What others overlook becomes visible to you. What others struggle to attain becomes magnetized toward your presence because favor has gone ahead of you to prepare pathways. Favor is attractive to purpose. When your life is aligned with your divine assignment, favor naturally surrounds you. It will whisper your name in the rooms you have never entered. It will position advocates in places where your feet have not yet stepped. It will raise intercessors, mentors, allies, and connectors who feel compelled, without logical reason, to support your vision, invest in your work, or recommend you for opportunity. This is the supernatural operation of favor. It bypasses protocol. It overrides resistance. It transcends qualification. It disrupts systems. It shifts decisions. When you activate divine favor, you are essentially inviting heaven to influence the minds and actions of people who have the authority to release resources, opportunities, and financial doors that align with your destiny. The activation of divine favor begins with confession. Words are portals. They open access points in the spirit. When you decree favor, you summon it. When you speak favor, you activate it. When you declare that favor surrounds you, it begins to move. Favor responds to expectation. It thrives in environments of faith. It multiplies when given voice. To activate favor, your declarations must be consistent, unwavering, and intentional. Declare that favor goes before you. Declare that favor follows you. Declare that favor surrounds you like a shield. Declare that every environment you enter becomes predisposed to bless you. Declare that the hearts of decision makers lean toward you. Declare that policies bend for your sake, that approvals are released on your behalf, and that exceptions are made in your favor. Divine favor grants access to hidden resources, resources that exist but have not yet been revealed to you. These resources may be financial, relational, informational, or territorial. Favor uncovers them. Favor brings you into the right conversations, the right networks, and the right partnerships at precisely the right moment. Favor gives you insight into opportunities before they become public. It exposes you to strategies that others do not see. It reveals doors that are invisible to the unaligned. When you activate divine favor, hidden streams of income begin to reveal themselves. Untapped markets open. Unexplored avenues of business expansion become clear. Financial support emerges from unexpected places. People who carry the resources you need suddenly develop an interest in your mission. Favor creates divine appointments. These are encounters orchestrated by heaven, not arranged by human effort. You may meet someone in a passing moment who holds the key to your next level. You may encounter a conversation that shifts your trajectory. A casual introduction may become a life-changing partnership. Favor predestines these encounters. It orders your steps, redirecting you away from stagnation and positioning you in the flow of divine timing. When favor is active, every step becomes strategic. No meeting is accidental. No invitation is meaningless. No introduction is random. Favor aligns your path with the people who carry solutions, opportunities, and resources assigned to your destiny. And divine favor also involves obedience to divine prompts. Favor often moves through instruction. When God whispers a direction, reach out to someone, sow a seed, invest in an idea, move into a new environment, revisit a forgotten opportunity. Obedience positions you for favor's manifestation. Favor flows where obedience leads. It is not enough to desire favor. You must respond to the directions that activate it. Sometimes the door you need is already open, but obedience is the key that allows you to walk through it. Sometimes the opportunity is already present, but obedience reveals it. Sometimes the resources are already available, but obedience aligns you with the right individuals who steward them. Favor breaks cycles of delay. It compresses time. It causes what should have taken years to happen in months or even moments. When you activate divine favor, you step into supernatural acceleration. Projects gain momentum. Approvals come quickly. Negotiations shift in your advantage. Finances flow with ease. Ideas attract the right people. Favor removes friction from your path. Where there was resistance, there is suddenly cooperation. Where there was silence, there is sudden response. Where there was closed access, there is unexpected invitation. Divine favor is the difference between striving and thriving, between forcing outcomes and receiving them through supernatural placement. Favor is also a protection mechanism. It shields you from sabotage, wrongful decisions, and hidden agendas. When divine favor surrounds you, what was designed to block you becomes powerless. Schemes dissolve, opposition collapses, competitors lose their influence. Favor confuses the plans of the enemy and frustrates the assignments sent to hinder you. It protects your opportunities, your resources, your reputation, and your future from being tampered with. While others may experience loss, divine favor preserves your portion. While others struggle for recognition, favor highlights your contribution. Where others encounter injustice, favor vindicates and promotes you. Activating divine favor requires an atmosphere of gratitude. Gratitude amplifies favor. It keeps your heart aligned with the flow of heaven. A thankful spirit attracts divine endorsement. Gratitude acknowledges God as the source, and this acknowledgement creates spiritual momentum. When you are grateful, favor expands. When you celebrate small breakthroughs, larger ones manifest. Gratitude keeps your spirit open, receptive, expectant, and sensitive to divine movement. It shifts your focus from what is missing to what is manifesting, from what you lack to what God is releasing. Divine favor thrives in environments of integrity. Favor rests on clean hands, pure motives, and honorable conduct. Integrity preserves the access that favor grants. Without integrity, open doors can become traps. Without integrity, opportunities can become burdens. Favor elevates you, and integrity keeps you there. When you walk uprightly, heaven endorses you openly. When your motives are aligned with purpose, favor multiplies. When your actions reflect God's character, favor surrounds you as a shield. Integrity is the soil where favor produces its greatest harvest. Activating favor requires humility. Humility is not self-deprecation. It is the recognition that favor is not earned, it is bestowed. Humility acknowledges that God is the one positioning, elevating, and promoting you. Humility opens the door to more favor because God resists the proud, but pours grace upon the humble. Humility keeps you teachable, adaptable, and receptive to divine instruction. It creates space for God to do what human strength cannot accomplish. The humble attract support, partnerships, and opportunities because their presence carries peace, authenticity, and divine endorsement. Favor is activated when you step boldly into environments where God has assigned you. Fear can suffocate favor. Doubt can silence opportunities. Hesitation can cause divine appointments to be missed. When you move with boldness, Spirit-led boldness, favor magnifies your presence. It amplifies your voice. It strengthens your influence. Boldness is a sign that you trust heaven's backing. When you speak with confidence, move with certainty, and make decisions anchored in prayer, favor gathers around you to enforce heaven's decree over your life. Divine favor transforms how people perceive you. It places a divine glow on your name, your work, your voice, your ideas. People will feel drawn to assist you without understanding why. They will feel compelled to recommend you, support you, invest in you, or collaborate with you, even when logic cannot explain it. This is the supernatural influence of favor. It alters perception. It softens resistance. It shifts perspectives. It draws the right eyes to see what God has placed in you. To activate favor, you must also let go of environments, relationships, and patterns that suffocate your spiritual momentum. Favor cannot operate in places God has not called you to remain. It cannot flourish in relationships that drain your spiritual life. It cannot thrive in atmospheres of unbelief, negativity, or dishonor. Sometimes the greatest act of activating favor is walking away from what no longer aligns with your destiny. The moment you detach from what drains you, you create room for divine connections that elevate you. Favor responds to vision. A clear vision attracts divine support. Heaven invests in what is purposeful, impactful, and aligned with God's blueprint for your life. When you articulate your vision, favor aligns resources with it. When you commit to your assignment, favor strengthens your hands. When you pursue purpose with consistency, favor expands your territory. Vision gives favor a destination. Purpose gives favor a pathway. Clarity gives favor direction. When you activate divine favor, you step into the flow of supernatural ease. This does not mean absence of challenges. It means challenges cannot stop what God has endorsed. It means resistance cannot override what heaven has authorized. It means obstacles cannot hinder what favor has sealed. Divine favor ensures that every step you take is guided, supported, and propelled by the invisible hand of God. It guarantees that the opportunities meant for you cannot be stolen, delayed, or denied. It ensures that resources assigned to you cannot be diverted, withheld, or lost. Favor is heaven's announcement that your time has come. It is the indicator that your season is shifting. It is the confirmation that breakthrough has been activated. When you fully engage divine favor, you cease living from a place of striving and step into a realm of supernatural flow. Opportunities seek you. Resources locate you. People recognize you. Doors open for you. Solutions appear for you. Favor creates a life where the supernatural becomes your new normal, where divine alignments become daily occurrences, and where hidden blessings continuously reveal themselves. Decreeing supernatural acceleration and the opening of every financial gate begins with understanding that the power of a decree is not just in the words spoken, but in the authority behind the words. A decree is not a request, not a plea, not a suggestion. It is legislative act in the spirit. It is the spiritual equivalent of signing a divine order that heaven is obligated to enforce. When you decree supernatural acceleration, you are calling for time to bow, for systems to respond, for delays to collapse, and for divine momentum to enter every area of your financial life. Acceleration is not merely speed, it is the removal of resistance, the dismantling of spiritual friction, and the alignment of circumstances so that what once took years is completed in moments under the force of divine intervention. When you decree the opening of every financial gate, you are commanding access to the resources, opportunities, and streams of provision that heaven has assigned to your destiny. A decree is an act of dominion. It flows from identity. You cannot decree from a place of insecurity. You decree from a place of spiritual legitimacy, recognizing that as a child of God, you carry the authority to shift your own atmosphere. You are not speaking as one who is begging for breakthrough. You are speaking as one who has inherited breakthrough. You decree because it is your right. You decree because heaven backs your voice. You decree because spiritual laws respond to the words of those who understand kingdom authority. When you decree acceleration, you are addressing the timelines of heaven and pulling them into your now. You are collapsing the distance between promise and manifestation. You are aligning yourself with divine pace, divine order, and divine timing. Supernatural acceleration happens when God places his hand upon a matter and breathes upon it. His breath becomes momentum. His breath becomes propulsion. His breath becomes supernatural speed. It is the kind of acceleration that moves you from the back to the front, from overlooked to highlighted, from delayed to early, from stuck to unstoppable. It is the acceleration that bypasses normal processes, and overrides human timelines. It is the acceleration that makes people wonder how you advance so quickly, how you accomplished so much in such a short time, and how your life shifted seemingly overnight. This is what happens when you decree acceleration, not because you demand it in your own strength, but because you activate a divine law that heaven is waiting for you to release with your words. Decreeing the opening of every financial gate requires a deep understanding that financial gates exist in the spirit before they exist in the natural. Gates represent access points, thresholds, portals, transitions, and realms of permission. If a gate is closed, you can labor endlessly and see little to no movement. If a gate is open, your progress becomes effortless. Opportunities locate you. People are assigned to bless you. Resources that were once hidden suddenly appear. When you decree that every financial gate is open, you are speaking to the invisible barriers that guard access to wealth, influence, territory, and resources. You are commanding ancient gates that have been sealed by generational patterns, spiritual resistance, or personal limitation to open at your word. Acceleration requires alignment. Decrees are not magical incantations. They are legal actions taken by those who are spiritually aligned with heaven's agenda. When your spirit is aligned, your thoughts, your motives, your faith, your confession, the decree has power. Heaven responds to alignment. When you decree acceleration, you must believe that God is willing and able to break the timelines that have limited your progress. Your faith becomes the force that magnetizes divine movement. Acceleration blooms in environments where faith has been stirred and expectation has been elevated. The moment you decree acceleration, something begins shifting in unseen realms. Angels begin to move. Obstacles begin to tremble. Systems that resisted you begin to lose their power. Supernatural acceleration often requires the breaking of delay. Delay is not simply the absence of progress. Delay is a spiritual force designed to drain your faith, diminish your expectation, and wear down your momentum. Spiritually induced delay can keep you standing at the verge of breakthrough but never entering it. It can keep you circling opportunities without ever securing them. But when you decree acceleration, you are breaking the spirit of delay off your finances, your assignments, your calling, your ideas, your investments, and your opportunities. You are releasing yourself from cycles where progress is continually slowed. You are commanding everything that has been held back to be released without further resistance. Every financial gate has a spiritual guard. These guards can be generational patterns, internal limitations, demonic resistance, environmental constraints, or the residue of past failures. A gatekeeper's job is to decide who enters and who does not. When you decree the opening of financial gates, you are overriding the authority of any spiritual force that once held the gate shut. You are declaring that no gatekeeper except God has the authority to determine your access. You are asserting dominion over the gates that lead to prosperity, expansion, business elevation, career promotion, financial recovery, and generational wealth. When you decree open gates, you are compelling the spiritual realm to release what belongs to you. A decree shifts atmosphere. Atmospheres influence outcomes. If the atmosphere around your finances is saturated with fear, doubt, or lack, financial gates remain stiff and closed. But when you decree, you shift that atmosphere from scarcity to abundance, from restriction to permission, from stagnation to acceleration. Your decree alters the spiritual climate. It charges the environment with supernatural expectation. It signals to the spiritual realm that you refuse to remain where you are. It announces that you are entering a new phase, a new season, a new dimension of financial flow. Divine acceleration is often accompanied by divine revelation. When you decree acceleration, God begins to reveal strategies, insights, and instructions that position you for rapid progress. You may receive an idea, a connection, a solution, or a sudden burst of creativity. These revelations are part of acceleration. They compress the time required for learning, planning, executing, and advancing. What once took countless hours of study comes through divine insight. What once required endless trial and error is accomplished through one God-inspired strategy. Acceleration is not merely movement, it is movement guided by revelation. The opening of financial gates requires persistence and decree. Some gates open immediately, others require continued pressure. Every time you decree, you are adding spiritual weight against the gate. Every declaration weakens its resistance. Every word becomes a spiritual blow against whatever is holding the gate shut. With persistence, what once resisted you becomes too weak to continue standing. Spiritual gates respond to spiritual persistence. When you